Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. At the club activity, someone made fun of our relationship again, teasing about our childhood friendship. My childhood friend raised his eyebrows and said jokingly, "Who would have feelings for a girl who's been like a brother since childhood?" Seeing that everyone didn't believe him, he smirked. "I'm serious. Just thinking about dating Olivia makes me feel sick." His tone was casual, as if it was someone else who had sneaked into the girls' dormitory that morning. I suddenly felt extremely bored. After returning to school, I applied for the exchange student program at Central St. Martin's in London for the second time. When my childhood friend learned that I was going abroad, he was devastated. After Julian finished speaking, he turned his head and pretended to vomit but unexpectedly met my gaze. He was stunned for a moment, then the corners of his lips curved into a smile. "You think so too, right, girl brother?" The group of people who had been chatting and laughing by the pool also looked at me. I was a bit stunned, opened my mouth and didn't know how to answer for a moment. The men's coat in my hand seemed especially heavy at this moment. Just when I was at a loss, Emma, who was sitting next to Julian, sneezed. Julian immediately stood up, took the coat from my hand and put it on her. "I told you it was cold, but you didn't listen." Fortunately, I asked Olivia to get the coat in advance. Emma is the president of the dance club. She's not extremely beautiful, but she has a charming aura. I've heard Julian praise her dancing skills quite often before. I didn't expect she would be here today. "I still want to swim later." Emma wrinkled her cute nose but didn't resist. With this interruption, everyone present turned their attention back and immersed themselves in the game. No one cared about the little episode that had just happened. Only I was left with an embarrassed look on my face because the seat Emma was sitting in now was the one I had left before. She didn't seem to know the situation, and I didn't have the heart to directly ask her to leave. "Olivia, over here." Fortunately, a senior from the same club waved at me to help with the barbecue, saving me from the awkward situation. I let out a sigh of relief and quickly sat over there. Julian and the others had already reached the exciting part of the game. The boys would carry their female partners and swim back and forth 50 meters in the pool to see which group is the fastest. The host was still explaining the game rules. The classmates who had a crush on each other around me had already formed groups in 2s and 3s. Club activities always tend to arrange this kind of session. It is a veiled form of social gathering in college. In the past, Julian and I were always partners in this type of game without exception. Thinking of this, I subconsciously got up and walked towards Julian, but I saw that under the jeers of everyone, he had already taken off his shirt, picked up the shy Emma, and jumped into the water, creating a huge splash. I stood there, stunned, as water splashed all over my face by the pool. It wasn't until some familiar people carefully asked me if I wanted to find another partner that I came to my senses. I stood up abruptly. "I'm not feeling well. I don't want to play anymore." I didn't dare to look any longer, and without even wiping the water off my face, I fled the scene. I slammed the door of the room shut, trying to isolate the chaos in my heart. Only then did I gather myself and turn around. Unexpectedly, there was a large floor-to-ceiling glass behind me. The scene in the pool crashed straight into my eyes. Julian was walking slowly in the water with Emma in his arms. His speed was obviously slower than the other group. The game rule was to carry the partner on the back, but Julian insisted on carrying Emma in a princess carry. Naturally, he was a bit slower than the others, but he didn't seem to care at all and looked like he was enjoying it. He would lower his head and talk to Emma from time to time, making her giggle in his arms. I stared blankly, a bitter feeling welling up in my heart. Julian has a strong competitive spirit. He always tries to be the first in any competition. Last time, when we were in a 3-legged race, Julian walked with big strides, completely ignoring me. I was almost dragged along by him, and when we crossed the finish line, I was so exhausted that I fell and got blood all over my mouth. For this, Julian accompanied me to morning classes for half a month and sent me milk tea every day before I forgave him. A burst of cheering outside pulled my attention back. I didn't know what had happened. Emma fell into the water, and her shoulder strap slipped down. Julian rushed up and hugged her in his arms with great masculinity. His tall body blocked all the views for her. The two of them were in an extremely ambiguous position, causing the people around to cheer wildly. But I didn't have the time to care. My attention was completely drawn to the few small pink scratch marks on Julian's back. Those were the marks I left when Julian was too rough with me. This morning at 5 a.m., Julian sneaked into the girls' dormitory during the shift change. My roommates were all local and happened to have gone home. I was still sleeping drowsily at that time when I was startled by Julian. "Good Olivia, just this once." He frowned with fine beads of sweat on his forehead. Seeing that Julian was really in a difficult situation, I didn't have the heart to resist. Just thinking that there would be a club activity later, I gently reminded him to be careful. Julian agreed verbally, but his actions were not gentle. So I didn't dare to wear the beautiful swimsuit I bought in advance. Julian laughed in the morning. "What are you afraid of? Wear it." Looking at the way Julian cherished and protected Emma, I carefully rolled up the hem of my clothes. My skin was mottled with bruises and purples. These were originally sweet marks, but now they were extremely dark. My chest felt as if it was blocked by a huge rock, making it hard for me to breathe. I suddenly pulled the curtains shut. I didn't want to compare anymore. But the scenes from the party just now uncontrollably played like a revolving lantern in my mind. I couldn't hold back anymore. I fell onto the bed, letting my tears soak the pillow. I don't know how much time had passed. It was not until a sudden knock on the door woke me up that I realized the sun had already set. I opened the door and found it was Julian. He was wearing a bathrobe and his hair was slightly wet. It seemed that he had just taken a bath. I didn't really want to talk to him and tried to close the door, but Julian forced his way in. "Hey, you're not angry, are you?" I didn't answer. I was still trying to push him out with force. "With your strength it's like tickling." Julian raised his eyebrows, grabbed my hand, and leaned closer to observe my face carefully. "Are you really angry?" "Surely not. I was just kidding." "Are you really that petty? You know I really hate it when people make fun of our relationship. It's so disgusting, right?" I was stunned. My eyes suddenly felt a bit sore hearing the word disgusting from Julian twice in a row. My mind was in a mess. I could only nod randomly as a response. Then I walked aside and started packing my suitcase on my own, trying to do something to calm myself down. Hearing this, Julian let out a long sigh of relief. Okay, let's move on." He squatted down beside me and didn't say anything else. He just stared at me packing the suitcase. If it was before, I would have been overjoyed to have Julian quietly accompany me, even if we didn't talk. But now I just felt extremely uncomfortable. After watching for about 10 minutes, Julian suddenly asked me, "Olivia, is your period coming soon?" "Yeah, why?" I replied sullenly, my hand unconsciously rubbing the buckle of the suitcase. "Then you must have brought that, right?" Julian stood up straight and immediately leaned over. "Emma's period is also coming. I want to get some from you for her as a backup." My face instantly turned burning hot, and I felt utterly ashamed for misinterpreting his intentions. I had actually thought he came to care about me. Julian got up resolutely after taking what he needed. When he was at the door, he turned back as if remembering something. "Oh, by the way, don't come to my dormitory anymore." I paused in my actions. Emma is about to accept my pursuit. I have to be faithful to her. What we had was just normal physical needs, Olivia. Don't blabber to Emma. She's very innocent, not like you. He carefully put away the things after giving a few more reminders and left with a sense of relief. I stood by the door watching Julian knock on Emma's door. Then a pair of snow-white hands reached out and eagerly pulled him in. The door slowly closed, and the click sound was like a thunderclap. It made my ears buzz and my head spin, as if it was mercilessly mocking my assumed mutual affection. Took me a long time to recover. I fumbled for my phone in my pocket with trembling hands. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped the phone several times. I clicked into the counselor's chat box and typed, "Teacher, is there still a spot for the exchange student program at Central St. Martin's in London?" After sending this message, I squatted on the ground and burst into tears, without any regard for my appearance. Julian and I have been in the same school from junior high to university. After getting to know each other better, we found out that we lived in the same community. Even our parents got to know each other through our introduction in junior high and high school. We were very restrained. Hugs and kisses were just brief touches. After breaking through that boundary in university, things got out of control. We shared the same drink and the same piece of cake. We kissed openly in the cinema. Julian would call me to his dormitory when his roommates were out. But now he's telling me that this was just normal physical needs for adults. What I thought was a two-way admiration turned out to be the fantasy of a clown. My heart felt as if it was being tightly clenched by a big hand, making me gasp for breath. I had to do something to relieve this feeling, so I turned on my phone. Little by little, I deleted everything related to Julian. Moments on the moments we chatted, social media features, short videos taken during our travels together, and photos in the album. I numbly repeated the deletion action. It seemed that only in this way could I feel a bit better. I don't know how long I deleted for. Suddenly my stomach growled a few times, and I realized I hadn't had dinner yet. I rummaged through the suitcase and found some bread. Just as I took a bite, my stomach churned. I quickly took a sip of water to suppress the discomfort. As a result, both the bread and the water came out in a rush, and then I kept vomiting until my mouth tasted bitter. I didn't force myself anymore. I took a quick shower, and just as I lay down on the bed, my phone rang. It was the counselor. Her tone was full of relief. "Olivia, there's still a spot. Didn't I ask you to think it over last time? I was afraid you'd change your mind, so I reserved one for you specially." I felt a warmth in my heart. This was probably the best news today. "Thank you, teacher. This is the last year. You should cherish this opportunity. Central St. Martin's is a dream place for many artists. You should go and see the wider world," I replied softly. "I'm glad you understand. Hurry up and prepare the materials. If everything goes smoothly, you'll have to report within a month." The teacher paused and then suddenly teased. "Changed your mind? You gave up at the last minute last year. Don't you need to accompany your little childhood friend this year?" I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect that my affairs with Julian had reached the teacher's ears. Last year, the teacher strongly recommended me to go. I major in fashion design, going abroad for an exchange program. Graham is of great significance to me, and my parents also strongly support me. But on the day when my application was approved, Julian came to me. It was pouring cats and dogs that day. He didn't hold an umbrella and just stood in the rain, asking me if I was going to leave him behind. His eyes were full of pleading. It was the first time I saw him with such an expression. I couldn't bear it, and somehow I gave up this hard-won opportunity. I came back to my senses and my mind was clearer than ever. Yeah, I won't accompany him anymore. It's time to put an end to these absurd 8 years. There was no organized transportation for this gathering, and everyone arranged their own way back. I came here by car with Julian. When I dragged my suitcase and found the car, I saw that Emma was already sitting in the front passenger seat. Seeing me, she smiled. "Sorry, I get car sick, so I have to trouble you, dear, to sit in the back." Sitting in the front passenger seat can indeed relieve car sickness. Unfortunately, I'm also prone to car sickness. If this car was Julian's, I wouldn't fight with Emma for the seat, but Julian's car is a sports car, not suitable for driving on mountain roads. So we discussed and decided to drive my SUV for this gathering. Since my driving skills aren't very good, Julian was the driver. I bit my lip about to say something, but Julian, who had just finished packing the trunk, stuffed me directly into the back seat. "It's okay, Olivia doesn't get car sick. She can sit in the back." He quickly closed the door, got into the driver's seat, and started the car, not giving me any chance to refuse. I took a deep breath. A wave of anger welled up in my heart, and I was about to lose my temper. But then I thought that this car was actually a gift from Julian on my birthday last year. Although I thought it was too expensive at that time and later gave him a watch of equivalent value in return, after all, the money for the car was indeed paid by Julian. Forget it. There's no need to be angry. It's just a matter of returning the thing to its original owner. It's his car, and he has the freedom to decide who sits in the front passenger seat. Throughout the journey, Julian was chatting and laughing with Emma. I didn't join in and silently studied the application materials sent by the teacher. Suddenly, Emma talked to me. "Olivia, are you majoring in design?" I glanced at her and nodded casually. "I can't tell." Emma shrugged and turned to look at Julian. "Olivia seems so quiet. I can't believe she can get along with you. She doesn't seem like an art student." "That's just how she is, aloof. Only I'm willing to hang out with her." Julian glanced at me in the rearview mirror and lazily curled his lips. All she likes to do every day is draw those crappy paintings. She doesn't have any other hobbies. What's more, she has poor abilities. Last year, she applied for the exchange student program but didn't pass. I heard she was the only one among the applicants who failed. Tsk. I looked at Julian in shock. It was he who begged me to stay back then. After giving up the spot last year to keep Julian from feeling guilty, I made up an excuse. I lied to him that I didn't go abroad because my application didn't pass. I told my parents the same thing, worried that they would have a bad impression of Julian. I didn't expect him to bring up this matter to mock me, just to prove to others that I'm an aloof and incompetent person. I was so angry that I wanted to tell the whole truth, but I moved my lips and finally gave up on refuting. I thought it was better if he thought that way. At least this time I could leave easily. Before confirming my departure abroad, I didn't want to cause any more trouble. Returning to school coincided with the final exam week. I had to review, prepare application materials, and occasionally have a meal with my roommates for some relaxation. I was so busy that I wished I could have a few more clones of myself. Such a busy life also diluted a lot of my negative emotions, because I simply didn't have time to indulge in self-pity. Occasionally, when I had some free time and picked up my phone, it was just to look up information. I didn't even pay attention to the chat box with Julian. In the past, I used to send a lot of messages to Julian every day, sharing interesting stories among friends and things I saw in class with him. But he would just reply with 1 or 2 simple sentences or even just a single word. Looking at our chat box, there was a large expanse of green my messages, but I never got tired of it. This time, when I had some free time and opened the chat box, I realized that Julian had sent me quite a few messages in the past few days, but I was too busy to open and read them. Come out and play. Why haven't you been looking for me recently? What are you busy with? Why don't you reply to my messages? Olivia, are you itching for a fight? How dare you not reply to me? If you have the guts, don't reply for the rest of your life. I quickly skimmed through the previous few messages and was too lazy to read them carefully. I directly scrolled to the latest message, which was sent last night. I had a fight with Emma. She's really troublesome. I'm so annoyed. No one's in the dorm tonight. Want to come over? Not long after, there was another one. Forget I said that. I opened his moments. After this message, he updated a video. The video showed him and Emma hugging closely in a sea of roses, with a group of people cheering them on beside them. It seemed they had made up. I was silent for a moment. Then I was so angry that I laughed. Julian, what did he take me for? I simply blocked him. I didn't want to be affected by any news related to him anymore. I calmed myself down and then continued to organize the application materials in my hands. Before going to bed, I made an appointment with the counselor and planned to go and submit the materials the next day. The next morning, the cutting class was delayed for a while. As soon as the class ended, I grabbed the materials and rushed to the teaching building. Just as I walked into the lobby, I ran into a fuming Julian head-on. Olivia, you're something. You actually dared to block me. He strode up to me. I didn't want to entangle with him and turned to leave. If it weren't for your kind roommate telling me you were here, I really wouldn't have been able to find you. Julian took a step and blocked my way. What are you doing in the teaching building? Nothing. I reflexively hid the file bag behind my back, but he was quick-eyed and snatched it away. I was a bit flustered and reached out to grab it back, but Julian was tall and held the file bag high out of my reach. So nervous? What's in it? After saying that, he pinched the opening, preparing to open it. My heart rose to my throat. Give it back to me. I was both anxious and angry, and tears welled up in my eyes pathetically. Are you crying? It's not that serious. Julian frowned. I won't tease you anymore. I pursed my lips, grabbed the file bag he handed back, and buried my head to walk around him, but Julian grabbed my wrist. Look what this is. Julian held up the things in his hand, his face full of pride. Tickets to Taylor's concert during the winter vacation. Do you like them? My eyes fell on the 2 tickets. I didn't feel any joy. I just felt extremely tired. I couldn't understand how Julian could act so nonchalantly. I turned to avoid him. I don't want them. I knew you'd want to go. You've been looking forward to it for a long time. I spent a fortune to get these tickets. I was silent for a moment and repeated, I'm not going. Julian finally reacted, his eyes widening. You don't want them? His face immediately darkened. After a while, he demanded, Can't you tell I'm trying to coax you? What exactly do you want, Olivia? My patience is limited. I shook my head and looked at him seriously, replying word by word. There's no need to coax me. We're just ordinary friends. Julian stared at me for a long time. I didn't say anything either and let him look. He sneered through gritted teeth, then suddenly exerted force, and the 2 concert tickets instantly broke into several pieces. I shouldn't have been so stupid as to come to you after coming out of the teaching building. After submitting the materials, I remembered what the teacher had just said. The materials were most likely fine, and there would be a notice in a couple of days. I finally felt a bit more at ease. Back in the dormitory, I continued to immerse myself in my review. I didn't expect that I wouldn't have to wait 2 days. That night, the teacher called to tell me that I had passed, and I just needed to wait for the reporting time. I was a bit surprised that it was so fast. You got the qualification last year, so the review was naturally quicker this year. After getting the teacher's affirmative answer, the big stone hanging in my heart finally dropped. After hanging up the phone, I was about to call my parents when I found that my mom had called me. Olivia, have you taken the final exams yet? What date will you be on vacation? I haven't heard your voice for a long time. During this period, I had always been running around with Julian sometimes. When Mom called, I didn't answer and only occasionally replied to the WeChat messages she sent. I sniffed. I'll be on vacation next week, so soon. That's great. I'll ask your dad to buy you a plane ticket right away. I heard Mom shouting for Dad to come over on the other end. By the way, remember to ask Julian when that kid plans to come back. The 2 of you discuss it and let us know after you've decided on the time. Be more sensible this time. Don't let someone else buy the plane tickets again. Our family isn't short of this money. Hearing Mom say this, I felt a bit dazed. In the past 2 years, I had gone home with Julian during the holidays. Every time, Julian would buy the plane tickets for both of us in advance, book a ride-sharing car to and from the airport, and arrange everything properly. This year, he already had Emma, so he probably wouldn't go to such lengths for me. Thinking of this, I lowered my eyes. Just buy a ticket for me. Mom stopped chattering after a while. It was Dad's voice. Sweetheart, why aren't you coming back with Julian? I didn't know how to tell my parents about what had happened before, so I simply didn't say anything to avoid worrying them. So I just smiled. It's nothing. I just plan to leave earlier. I want to go home and see Mom and Dad earlier. Dad responded and didn't suspect anything. Then he talked to me about some things at home. Taking this opportunity, I told my parents about the exchange student program abroad. So sudden, Mom's surprised voice came from the other end of the phone. Sounded a bit hollow, so they should have put it on speaker. You guys have always hoped that I'd go, right? So I applied again this year. I thought I'd tell you after I passed to give you a surprise. The teacher also said that this is the last year of the cooperation with Central St. Martin's, and the program will be canceled next year. I gave a rough explanation and Mom was really happy. That's a great thing. Go and broaden your horizons. If you can adapt, you can even continue to study abroad for further education. When you and Julian come back, invite their family over to celebrate. My dad also chimed in. Yes, sweetheart. You've been away at college for the past 2 years. It's thanks to Julian taking care of you at school. My brows twitched and I quickly stopped my parents. No, there's no need. At this point, I had to bite the bullet and come clean. I said that I had some conflicts with Julian and that he already had a girlfriend. Mom exclaimed, and Dad was silent for a while, then said, We won't invite them. It's okay. When you come back, Dad will introduce you to the neighbor's son. He's studying in London too. What kind of father are you? Then I heard my dad scream. He must have been hit by my mom. I was amused by my parents' interaction, and my heart felt a little less uncomfortable. After the intense exam week ended, I started to pack my things. Things I planned to take back home, all the things in the dormitory that could be moved. Most likely after spending the spring festival at home, I would go directly to report the night before leaving school. A senior from the club invited me to go out for another gathering, but I declined politely. Julian had never missed this kind of event, and I didn't want to see him. The senior probably knew a bit about the situation between Julian and me, so she didn't force me. The next day, not long after I arrived at the airport, Julian called. I answered it a bit surprised. Have you finished the exams? You're going home alone during the vacation? Emma gets airsick, so I'll accompany her on the train. I'm telling you this so you don't cry and tattle to my mom. TSK. His tone was reluctant, as if contacting me was something he had to do. I was speechless. Whatever, you don't have to tell me. Julian instantly got angry. Olivia, do you have to make things like this? I advise you to stop. If you keep making trouble. Just then it was my turn to check in. I politely thanked the staff and continued walking slowly along the connecting passage. Julian, on the other end, seemed to have heard this and was a bit stunned. Itchem, you're already at the airport. I didn't want to talk to him anymore and hung up the phone directly, regardless of how angry Julian was on the other end. Back at my home in the south, I was struggling to carry my luggage when the weight in my hand suddenly lightened as someone took it from me. Yo, little you is getting prettier and prettier, but your strength doesn't seem to have grown at all. That annoying tone. I looked up helplessly. In front of me was a guy with blonde hair and a cocky smile on his lips. Isn't this my show-off cousin William? What are you doing at my house? Your aunt said you were coming back today. My mom was worried you'd have too much luggage, so she forced me to come and help. William peeked behind me. Where's Julian? That guy didn't come to help you. William is only a few months older than me. He's quite familiar with Julian. They used to form a team to play games. He didn't know the situation, so it was normal for him to ask this. You brat. Hurry up and carry the luggage. Olivia, are you tired? Go wash your hands and come have dinner. Before I could say anything, my aunt rushed out and yelled at my cousin, then affectionately pulled me in. At the dinner table, my parents talked about my going abroad. William reacted strongly. What? You're just leaving Julian like this. I lowered my head, picking at the rice in my bowl without responding. My aunt gave him a dirty look. What nonsense are you talking? Olivia can do whatever she wants with her life. Why do you care so much about others? William mumbled something which made my aunt want to hit him again. It was my dad who changed the topic in time so he didn't get beaten, but I lost my appetite a bit. I just ate a little, greeted the elders and left the table. When I got back to my room, I found that there were dozens of missed calls, all from Julian. I was too lazy to look at them before going to take a shower, so I blocked his phone number. Remember, during the time I was home, I accompanied my mom to the flower market and prepared New Year goods. I had a fulfilling and relaxing time. One day, as soon as I came downstairs, my mom immediately called me. Olivia, come and say hello. I was still yawning and looked over. Subconsciously, I was caught off guard by a pair of smiling peach blossom eyes. I was instantly stunned and my face turned bright red. Mom, why didn't you tell me we had guests? What's the big deal? This is the big brother from the neighbor aunt's house. Have you forgotten? My mom brought out some tea and then helped me recall. After a few minutes, I finally remembered who Henry was. Before, many people teased that Julian and I were childhood sweethearts, but actually we only met in junior high school. Henry and I knew each other since we were in our mother's wombs. Henry's mother is my mom's best friend. In junior high, Henry went abroad to study, and his family moved to the UK. Then we lost contact. I sized up the guy in front of me. No wonder I didn't recognize him. Who could have thought that the chubby kid from before had grown so good-looking, even much better looking than Julian? I had just sat down for a while when my mom chased me out. Take Henry out for a stroll. He rarely comes back to the country. Henry and I stood at the door looking at each other. Finally, he smiled and said gently, Since we're already out, let's just walk around. I wasn't shy either and nodded. I thought it wouldn't be a bad thing to make a new friend, especially since Henry also studied at a university in London. I didn't expect that just going out would make me run into Julian. We met in a store. He was accompanying Emma to buy cotton candy, and in my hand, I was already holding the cotton candy that Henry had bought for me. His casual eyes became disbelieving when he saw me. Olivia. I glanced at him, then tugged at Henry's sleeve, indicating that we should leave. Julian reached out to stop me. Is this the reason why you didn't answer my calls? He pointed at Henry. I didn't say anything. Julian stared at me with narrowed eyes for a long time, as if thinking of something. Then he laughed out loud. Do you think playing such childish tricks can make me angry? He put his arm around Emma beside him. Do you know what it means that I'm taking her home for the spring festival? My mom really likes Emma. After saying that, Julian raised his chin and looked at me disdainfully. I held back my anger and didn't want to argue with him. I turned around and left. He seemed to be caught off guard by my reaction and was stunned for a moment. Then he rushed forward in one step, trying to stop me. Henry stepped in front of me. Congratulations, Olivia, and I won't disturb you too. I let Henry pull me away. This time, Julian didn't stop us. He just stood there, his expression dark and hard to read. Henry invited him to eat some local specialties outside and then visited the museum. It was already getting dark when we went back home. As soon as I entered the house, I saw Julian's parents sitting in the living room. My dad was entertaining them. I looked around but didn't see Julian. He probably didn't come with them. I felt a sense of relief. I greeted them with a smile and then walked into the house. When I passed by the kitchen, my mom pulled me in and whispered, "They came on their own. Your dad and I didn't invite them." She frowned, looking a bit dissatisfied. I smiled and took my mom's arm. "Forget it. They came to pay a New Year visit out of kindness." My mom nodded but still frowned. I mean, they come, but why did they bring a girl? What do they mean by that? I suddenly realized something was wrong. What girl? I didn't see a girl in the living room. Aren't there only Julian's parents? Oh no, my mom suddenly looked embarrassed. Just now Julian brought that girl to your room. He used to go straight in and wait for you like this, and I didn't react in time. My heart sank suddenly. Before my mom could finish, I rushed straight into the room. The scene in front of me left my mind blank. Julian and Emma were lying on my bed, kissing passionately in my room on my bed. I was so angry that my whole body was trembling. Without thinking, I picked up the broom beside me and threw it at them. "Get out of my room right now." Emma was so scared that she let out a scream. Julian got up in a panic. "No, Olivia, listen to me. It was Emma who said she was too sleepy. I just brought her in to rest for a while. I didn't mean to be in your room." He said this with annoyance and then seemed unable to continue. The elders in the living room rushed over when they heard the commotion. Julian's father saw the scene and said this. Julian's mother was silent for a moment, then came out to smooth things over. Young people just didn't pay attention for a moment. They didn't do anything too excessive. Everyone calmed down. These words made me extremely angry. My chest heaved violently. My mom quickly patted my back to soothe me. My dad was so angry that his eyes widened, and he was rude to Julian's family. "All of you leave. Our family doesn't welcome you." After that, I didn't see Julian again. My dad found a junk collector on the same day and had my bed taken away. He bought me a new one, but when I slept in that room, I still felt uncomfortable. To avoid worrying my parents, I didn't show it. However, a few days later, my parents suddenly showed me some photos and asked if I liked them. Only then did I know that they had been so busy these days because they were buying a house in London. After what happened that day, my parents decided to accompany me to study abroad. My dad said, "There's nothing much for me to worry about in the company now. We'll move there to be with you. Besides, having a house will make it more convenient if you want to continue studying abroad in the future. Yeah, Mom doesn't have much to do either. I can just go abroad with you for some fun," seeing how considerate my parents were. My nose felt a bit sour actually with the company and care of my parents. Recently, I had already let go of the past. Now thinking about how I used to ignore my parents because of Julian, I felt guilty. I secretly told myself that no matter how much I like someone in the future, I can't neglect my parents. After deciding that the whole family would go abroad, we all got busy. The preparation time left for us wasn't very ample. A few days ago, I had already received a notice from the teacher that in a week I would have to report the day before our departure. After dinner, I went out. I planned to buy some snacks that I couldn't usually get abroad and stock up on some of my favorite instant foods. These were the suggestions Henry gave me when we were chatting before. As soon as I went downstairs, I received a message from William. "I have some bad news for you. Julian knows you're going abroad. I accidentally let it slip during the party tonight. I thought he already knew, But then he ran off without saying a word. I guess he's going to look for you. Sis, forgive me. Just as I finished reading it, suddenly everything went dark in front of my eyes. Julian had somehow appeared right in front of me. He had a sullen face, and there seemed to be an endless storm brewing in his eyes. You are going abroad, Olivia? When making such a decision, you didn't even ask for my opinion. What do you take me for? As if believing he was on the moral high ground, he started scolding me like a machine gun. Ever since the club activity, you've been like a different person. What on earth is wrong with you? Isn't me being so humble not enough? Stop making trouble. Go back and withdraw your application. We can be good again in the future. I took a deep breath and looked up at him. What right do you have to say these things to me? Don't forget you have a girlfriend. Is that all? Julian sneered, took out his phone from his pocket, and dialed Emma's number. He looked at me and said to the other end of the phone in a heartless way, "Don't look for me anymore." Then, ignoring Emma's crying and questioning on the other end, he hung up immediately. Now I don't have one. I widened my eyes, shocked by his absurd behavior. It took me a long time to ask, "Do you like me? Or do you know that I like you?" What? Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Anyway, hurry up and withdraw your application. Julian blushed and tried to change the subject. I calmly interrupted him. Is it about habitually mocking me, suppressing me, and belittling me in front of others just to set off your superiority? I shook my head and took a few steps back. Such love is worthless. How could true love be about pretending not to know while doing things that hurt others? Julian's breath caught, and his face was filled with confusion. No, a glint of excitement flashed in his eyes, and he eagerly wanted to explain. I do like you. Just when I heard others talking about us, I felt a bit. I was embarrassed the day I brought Emma to your house. I was really angry because I saw you with someone else. When I heard William say you were going abroad today, I was really panicked. Only then did I realize that I couldn't accept losing you. Seeing that I didn't say a word, he started to get a bit impatient. We've been together for so many years. I know you must be reluctant. All right, stop making trouble. Even if your study abroad application has been approved, you can just tell the school to cancel it, right? You did the same thing last year. He suddenly stopped when he noticed me looking at him in shock, as if he also realized he had said the wrong thing. I said in a low voice, "In fact, you've always known the truth, right? That I didn't fail the application last year." Julian's face instantly turned deathly pale. His lips moved for a moment, and he made a feeble excuse. Olivia, it's not like that. Listen to me. Sure enough, I didn't look back anymore. No matter how many explanations he made, he couldn't reverse the established guilt. The next day, when we landed in London, Henry came to pick up my family and me. Only then did I realize the house my dad bought was right next to Henry's. Our family and Henry's family became neighbors in the UK. Again, I hadn't had a few days to rest when the official reporting time arrived. Fortunately, my days at Central St. Martin's were very happy. The study wasn't easy, but I still got to know friends from all over the world and learned about different cultures. Occasionally, on weekends, I would go to the Royal Botanic Gardens in the suburbs with Henry, or take a few-hour train to Birmingham to have hot pot. Although the ground was slippery when it rained in winter, I found that the weather wasn't as bad as rumored. Everything was just right. Perhaps the feeling of living for myself is different. The traces of Julian in my life were gradually replaced by new things. Just when I was fully enjoying my new life, Julian showed up again. At that time, I was just about to get into Henry's car when Julian stopped me. Seeing that I was about to close the car door, he looked at me pleadingly. Olivia, I've been waiting for you for 3 days. Can you talk to me? Julian always cared a lot about his appearance, but now his hair was messy and there was stubble on his chin. The fine rain was hitting his head, making him look even more embarrassed. Looking at him like this, I felt nothing in my heart. There's really no need. I straightened up. As if not expecting me to be so decisive, Julian's voice trembled slightly. My parents knew I bought a plane ticket and locked me at home. I climbed out of the window to come and find you. We've known each other for 8 years. Can you really let go of our feelings? Over the years, I didn't recognize my feelings for you before and hurt you. Can you give me a chance to make up for it? The rain was getting heavier and heavier. I simply got into the car and rolled down the window. Go back. We have nothing to talk about. The corners of Julian's eyes suddenly turned red. After a long time, he said self-deprecatingly, "Even if I travel 10,000 kilometers to find you, you won't forgive me, right?" I didn't say anything. Julian's body swayed, and he almost fell to the ground. He closed his eyes. Before I rolled up the car window, he said slowly, word by word, "Olivia, you can't ignore me because I saved you. Have you forgotten?" He lifted his clothes, revealing the hideous scar on his waist. It was a burn scar from a fire. I raised my eyes and looked into his once again. I felt ashamed that I had liked such a despicable person for 8 years. "Yes, you saved me, but don't forget what caused the fire in my house. It was because of you. You were doing an experiment in my house while I was asleep. You knocked over the alcohol lamp and almost caused a disaster. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been in danger at all. Stop embarrassing yourself, Julian." I calmly stated the facts. Julian completely broke down. He seemed to have all his strength drained from his body, just standing there blankly. The big raindrops hit his face hard, but he didn't seem to notice. Coincidentally, it was rare for it to rain so heavily in London. I didn't look at him anymore. "Let's go." Hearing this, Henry immediately started the car. Today we had made an appointment with some friends for a weekend party. If we didn't set off, it would be too late. I didn't hear news about Julian again until half a year later. It was when I was chatting casually with a senior from my previous club that she mentioned a few things. She said Julian got drunk driving and crashed into a guardrail and was detained. At that time, my family and Henry's family were having a barbecue in the yard. "Olivia, Henry has grilled all the meat for you. Come and eat it while it's hot." Mom called me from not far away. I hung up the phone and walked briskly. As for Julian, what did his situation matter to me? We were already two parallel lines, and there would never be an intersection again.